Hi, Josh.
Hi, Andy. How are you?
Good, man. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk about the film today.
Of course.
So, as you can probably tell, I'm a huge comic book fan. So, I think the first thing that I was wondering is which comics in particular that you turn to for inspiration in bringing your vision for this film to life.
Well, to be honest, there were so many of them. We trawled through so many of them to find mainly as a source of inspiration for Carnage, actually, because that was going to be the newly introduced comic book character, well, and Streak as well, actually, to be fair. But just in the way, I just gathered everything I could about Carnage, the way that he moves, the way that what how he changes himself, how he can transform and become mist, change the molecular structure of himself, how he differs as a symbiote to Venom, being the son of Venom, but then plus because he's a red one. So that was a kind of, yeah, that was a really enjoyable part of the process, and then sort of turning that into a real physical thing using performance capture. We had avatars of an early prototype version of Carnage, and then we started working with dancers and gymnasts and other physical performers to see how we could make him different. Because as I was just explaining to someone else, that Venom, if you like, is sort of very grounded. He's like a kind of ape-like kind of American football player or kind of rugby player sort of physicality, and Carnage is all about sort of sidestepping, slippery, kind of moving and using energy in different ways, and using his tendrils to like a squid, being able to fire them out, to weaponize, so that all that exploration was really, having the comics there was just amazing for reference.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but one of my favorite sequences was in the apartment when Eddie and Venom start butting heads, let's say. And I'm just wondering how that sequence came together, because I can imagine on your end, it must have been a very challenging one to choreograph and put together with CG. And as you said, maybe some motion capture.
Yeah, the thing is, it's all of it is down to, I mean, the performance side of it is all down to Tom's brilliance as a physical performer, he really, his process of creating Venom is creating the radio play of the scene. So he would record all of Venom's lines first, to himself, and then they would play in an earpiece to his ear, and then he could improvise with Venom, with his own timing. So that's the way we started every scene that Eddie and Venom were in. But with that one, it was just that grew. I mean, that grew as an idea. It was scripted as a bit of a slap fight. And then we extended that as we realized that this was turning into something major, and that it was sort of like, it ended up being a lover throwing another lover's clothes out of the window sort of relationship moment. That was a really exciting part of the process, to kind of build and continue, working with the stunt guys and everything. And they did such a fantastic job. And then with the visual effects team also, just to work out exactly, and special effects, because a lot of the things that get thrown are real things. So it was a huge thing to choreograph.
Yeah, I bet. And something else I really loved about the film that I don't think we saw as much of in the first one is when Venom is moving around the city, we're really seeing an impact when he lands and he jumps and he's creating this destruction. And was it important to you to add that element to him this time around? Because he is such a hulking character in some ways.
Definitely. I mean, from working in sort of with CG characters now for the last 2 decades, I'm really acutely aware of when a character doesn't have the right weight, and how it doesn't, it's all about the impact and the integration into the environments that they're in, so they've got it really works well when you do see bits of buildings fall away, when they're if claws are going up, all of that stuff. Plus you have to work with a director of photography who really understands how to visually integrate these, they're so kind of surreal, these symbiotes, Carnage and Venom, that you have to work double hard to really blend the lighting in such a way that they don't stand out as kind of cartoon against the background. So we spend a long time how the light falls off the edges of the skin, and how it bounces off, the light bounces off the the specular kind of skin that they have. So that was, I mean, Bob Richardson, who's just obviously one of the world's greatest DOPs. We were working with him, and Sheena Dougal, who's the head of the visual effects supervisor. We all kind of worked together, saying this is the goal, to really to solidify these characters and make them really feel they're in the environments.
Yeah, now I know I absolutely loved this film. I just had so much fun with it, and I know it's early days, and I got a feeling everyone's going to want to know about a potential Venom 3, and it's too soon to say. But do you think if that film does roll around, it's the right time now for this character to maybe cross paths with Spider-Man?
Who knows? I mean, that would, you know. I mean, I don't know where it's heading, but yeah. Hopefully, this film will. You can't count on anything. Hopefully, this film will do well. People will go and see it. I mean, I do think it's really the right film for right now, because I think people will enjoy it and get out. If they do make the effort to get out and see it in the cinemas, I think it's a perfectly uplifting, kind of fun and dark film that'll be entertaining. It'll be hugely entertaining, and I think it'll hopefully reinvigorate people to go back to the cinemas. But who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
I certainly hope so. And were you ever thinking about putting any sort of Spider-Man Easter eggs in here, or were you very much focused on this Carnage story before moving ahead to that?
Yeah, no, in this story, it wanted to continue being in its own universe, that it wasn't going to cross over too much into anything else, because there was so much to unpack with this story. You know, that the odd couple relationship, the introduction of Cletus and Carnage, and we had an embarrassment of riches in terms of what stories we could tell here. Shriek, you know, her backstory and blending it all together. So yeah, it really felt like that there wasn't any more room to start going to the next phase. And I think it'll you know, if and when it does happen, you know, it'll really it'll land at the right time as a result, not rushing into it.
Absolutely. And I really enjoyed the animated sequence in the film that retold Cletus's backstory. I thought it was really unique for a superhero film like this. And I was wondering, cool. Was that an easy thing for you to include in a blockbuster like this one, or was Sony quite open to you maybe doing something a little more unusual like that?
Well, no, I mean, I have to say that they were really open to that. I mean, there were different ways that we could have gone. We could have made it more kind of like comic book panels. We could have gone, but for me, it was always really important that it was seen through Cletus's eyes and his form of expression, and because of the drawings in the cell, because of the way that we've seen, you know, that freneticism in the way and the energy in which he draws, kind of really reflected his psychosis in a way. So it for me, it needed to have. And I think finally everybody came around to the idea that was the way to go, for sure. So I'm really glad you enjoyed that bit.
Yeah, I think people are going to love it when they see it. And something else, of course, as well, is Venom talks a lot in this film about wanting to be a lethal protector. And as you said yourself, there are so many comics out there and so many iterations of this character. But that lethal protector version, is that something you would be keen to explore? Because again, I feel like it's a big change to this Venom, and it would show a different side to him as well.
For sure. I mean, that is, again, we need to arrive at that point. We needed to have this film, you know, to get those relationships really cooking. And but I do think there's huge fertile ground there for lethal protector stories, definitely.
Yeah, and one final question for you. Carnage in this film is an absolute beast of a character, which I loved. So what did you most enjoy about that? And were there any of his appendages that you maybe didn't get a chance to include you thought of? Because he uses some great weapons in this film.
Yeah. No, we wanted, there was a line in the script once, which was, you know, I can do this, and 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 I can do this. And it was just like, that was what really spurred in our minds, you know, both you know, myself and the visual effects team, you know, endless sort of permutations of weaponizing him. So we were spoiled for choice, but you want to maximize. You don't want to you don't want to just sort of just show. You want to be able to exemplify exactly what they can all do, you know. So I think we got the balance right. I think we've got the, you know, but it is really exciting, and that was a very exciting part of the process, as I say, really just sort of honing in on what his special sources, as it were.
Oh, well, awesome. Well, Andy, like I said, I love this film, and it's been such a pleasure to speak to you, and I cannot wait for people to get out there and see it. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Cheers, mate.